Everyone. Today I'm here to talk to you about Dave Ramsey's book, EntreLeadership. And this is a book about entrepreneurship and leadership, as you could have guessed from the title of the book. Dave Ramsey is a primarily known as a purveyor of financial advice for people. And he may seem like an interesting choice for me to review this today because he is a conservative Christian business person, and his approach is quite blunt and brash, and some people find him off-putting. Um, but he has plenty of fans too, and he's been incredibly successful. And while I have not read his financial advice books, nor have I taken any of his workshops or anything like that, I did stumble across this book at the library one day. And so I decided to check it out. And I actually found it to be quite informative. So, what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about what I found in his book and what I wanted to share in terms of what I thought were the key nuggets from the advice that he shares in this book. So, first, he has what I would call three core principles to how he operates. One is perseverance. The second is integrity, and the third is around ability. So let me talk about the concept of perseverance and why that's so important to him. So when he talks about perseverance, he really talks about three core ideas around perseverance. First, he talks about how slow and steady wins the race. He really does not believe in an overnight success. And what he emphasizes is that you really need to focus, be the best that you can at your business, do it well, and do it consistently over a long period of time. And that will pay off in the end. He talks about, for example, how he really wanted to be on Oprah's show for a long time. And he wanted that for years and was getting spots in other places, but never could seem to land Oprah, right? And then all of a sudden, after 15 years of working on different appearances, he was able to score spots with 60 Minutes and Oprah and lots of other outlets. Seemingly an overnight success, but the truth is that was the result of years and years of hard work. So he does not believe in kind of overnight wonders. It's all about being slow and steady. Secondly, he talks about how you should be willing to adapt and change when you start your business and when you're evolving it. He talks about how he first started his business talking about giving a workshop around bankruptcy. And what he eventually realized was that most of the people who were coming to him were not bankrupt. They actually wanted advice on how to manage their finances. And so he then created something called Financial Peace University, which was not in his original plan, but he built from there. And then third, he does tell you, because of course he's a financial advisor, but he's also been incredibly successful. He tells you how to be smart about managing your finances as a small business owner. And I do want to say that it really is focusing on small businesses with his advice, right? He's not looking at the next tech startup or any big, huge company, right? Though he does acknowledge that even large companies started small at some point, So, but coming back to my original point, he does want you to be very aware of managing your finances as a small business, not getting into debt, not getting yourself into hock with expensive furniture and fancy cars and things like that. So perseverance is the name of the game with Dave. Secondly, integrity. And what does he mean by this? This was one of the things that really struck me about Dave Ramsey. And I know that he can be a polarizing guy, right? But the one thing that I did pick up from his book was that integrity is very important to him. And what he means by that is, first, to keep your word to the people in your life, whether they are your employees, your customers, your vendors, your family. It's really important to keep your word to people. Secondly, he does operate by the golden rule. So he's always thinking in situations, how would he want to be treated in a particular situation? So let's say he runs across a really fabulous person that he would like to hire into his team, but maybe that person works for one of his vendors or even one of the competition. He doesn't poach them, right? He does go through a process where he tries to be transparent about wanting to bring that person onto the team and doesn't just kind of pull a fast one. And then finally, he really works on building and honoring a strong culture. From what I can tell, his culture would not be for everyone. He does have pretty strict rules around everything from, no gossiping to, if he finds out that you are being unfaithful to your spouse, he'll fire you. He does not tolerate any sort of lying or backstabbing in the office. Um, and I believe that there is this sort of a commitment to Christianity as well. I could be wrong on that. But my point is simply that he does focus on maintaining a very strong culture of honesty and hard work in his company, and that actually results in a very strong business for him, and it's because he does kind of use integrity as one of his north stars to build his business. And then finally, the third, I guess, north star, if you want to call it that, would be around ability, and what he is thinking about is excellence all around, right? He doesn't care what degrees you have. He doesn't care what kind of family you came from. He doesn't care about any of that. He cares about making sure that everybody who works for his company is keeping to a standard of excellence, and he's constantly working on that as well, but he does not want mediocrity around him, and he gives several examples of how he really struggled with people who were maybe subpar in their performance. They were really nice or they were okay, but he couldn't find anything specific to fire them over. And then once he let these low performers go, it was almost as if everybody around him breathed a sigh of relief and felt as if they didn't have to deal with that anymore, right? Secondly, he believes in rewarding and recognizing his employees. So he does pay well, and he has an elaborate profit sharing system that he has in his company that he acknowledges is very complicated, but he does feel it's important to motivate employees and also to recognize them publicly when they've done a great job. And then finally, he talks about how it's important for you to know your why and to stay passionate in your business, because if you are not passionate and you take your eye off the ball, then everybody around you is going to start to get really lackadaisical. So if you are not passionate about building your business, no one around you will be either. And you need that passion to keep building your company. And then finally, what I would say, there are lots of great quotes in here from Dave, but the one very simple quote that I pulled out was he tells us to start humble and be proud. And what he means by that is, every company started from very humble beginnings, and he said you should never ever be ashamed of that. That out of every great oak, it all started with a tiny acorn, and that all of us who are building businesses should be proud of what we do and proud of the honest work that goes into it, and to never apologize for being humble, right? So stay sane, stay humble, do great work, and be consistent over a long period of time, and you'll be rewarded for that. And so, if you do want to find out more about Dave Ramsey, he has published at least 4 books. I've listed them here: Financial Peace, More Than Enough, The Total Money Makeover, EntreLeadership, which is a book I just reviewed. And then on YouTube and on the radio and via any place you find podcasts, you can find The Ramsey Show. And you can also check out his website, ramseysolutions.com, which has lots of great tools in there. I just want to say he may not be for you, but I do think that the principles in his book, EntreLeadership, apply to anyone who is building a small business. You don't have to be a conservative Christian to appreciate what he's saying, right? These are timeless principles of building a small business and building it to be sustainable and profitable and to be of service to your community. So take what you like, leave what you don't. But I actually thought it was a really wonderful book. And I hope that you will check it out too. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.